introduce yourself today to the people as I show our faces?
Hi everyone. I'm Nobushi Gazai, Twitch streamer, eccentric, chicken master, chicken lord, some might say. And I thoroughly enjoy indulging into amateur voice acting. In fact, a lot of my content is focused along the Elder Scrolls Online and Fallout series. Glad to be here, Shin.
All right, man. All right. Today, guys, we're gonna dig a little deep into the lifestyle and the life that this man has lived today. I will not have any notifications on, and I will not be talking to the chat as much. We will just be here to listen to the story of Nobu, the good, the bad, the raw, the uncensored, and the uncut. This is not rehearsed. This is all live. All right. All right. So Nobu, we're gonna get started on your youngest memories, and let us start off with a good memory. Before we start getting into the wicked and wild stuff that you've been through.
Mhm.
All right.
So,
So
I guess like my earliest good memory would be my dad died when I was 2. Not that I'm saying that's a good memory, but before he died, I remember him being a very caring and loving father. Every morning, he would pick me up and he would sing to me. He'd sing a old workout song called "Brand New Day," and I don't know, something about that song always sits well with me and brings back great memories. Um, I was born in Mount Sobo, Miyazaki, which is southeastern Kyushu, for those of you who would like to look it up on the map. It's I think it borders it's in the same province, not province, but it's in the same area as Hyuga, for those of you who are familiar with the city of Hyuga. And I don't know, everything about Miyazaki was great. I still remember how the air had like a pinch of sea salt to it, like the aroma of the air had a pinch of sea salt to it, and just everything about living up in the mountains is something that I enjoyed.
all right, man. How long did you stay down there?
I lived in Miyazaki from 0 to 8. Born
Zero
there,
to eight.
yes, sir. Born there. We took a few trips. My grandfather had like a ridiculous amount of money. I won't get into why he had a ridiculous amount of money, but he did, and we all stayed in one estate, like the whole family, all of his daughters, all of his sons, and all of their children. And I remember the dynamic being really loving and just generally, if I could like paint a picture for a family dynamic, it's probably what I had when I was a very, very young child. Like one thing I highlight a lot is that adults typically don't teach their children to question authority if they see something wrong with the authority. And my grandfather actually did the opposite of that and encouraged me, even to him, to ask questions if something he didn't sit right with me. And that's probably why I wouldn't say I have an argumentative nature, but I definitely have a skeptical nature about me.
Okay. Um, you talked about your dad being a good person, and he passed away with you too. So I
I wouldn't
know.
say he was a good person.
uh, well, like from 0 to 2, I would say like mm, like in your eyes, it was good memories.
Yeah, I
Okay.
try to be as honest about my father as possible. Like my father, he cheated a lot on my mom prior to my conception, and like there were things that he highlighted in his memoirs that that weren't weren't quote unquote good.
Okay.
He was very honest about about his life and the way he operated in life. So
All right. Cool. Well, So like from 0 to 8, things were good, right? Things were good for you. Like
Almost perfect. Yeah.
almost perfect. So what happened with the big move?
So, um, like 6 months into age 8, I had moved to Nottingham. Like I lived in Nottingham for 6 months, and my mother, I don't know the full details on this, but my mother pretty much hired a private investigator to find out where I was living. And since I was in a place as secretive as Japan, she was able to track me down while I was living in Nottingham. And by some way, she was able to gain custody of me, I guess because she's my mother. And so I ended up having to move to America. And when I finally moved to America, I touched down in Marion, Indiana.
Okay. So basically, when you was born, your dad just took you, right?
No, I was born over in Miyazaki.
Okay.
But the first 3 months of my life, my mother was around, but due to her rambunctious nature and due to how she is, and I came to find this out after living with her, she ended up being ousted from the estate, and she went to go back to America. She had to go back to America.
Oh, okay.
So she had a great setup. Like she had something going for her for sure, just by being married to my dad. But like she has like I think she has like bipolar disorder, like severe BPD, because she can flip like it's nothing.
All right.
And yeah, it's I can see like why she got ousted.
Okay. So let's
Worst
continue. Let's
the
continue.
worst part about that, I think, the fact that my mother did move to Miyazaki with my father. Um, like I think it was, if I remember correctly, it was like 3 months into my the pregnancy that I was uh being grown in, however you would like to phrase it. Um, but like 3 months into that, she had moved over with my father and just left her daughter here. Just left my half sister over here
Oh
with my
wow.
grandmother. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So Mama wanted custody back, so you had to move back to America, and you said Indiana, right?
Yeah, moved to America. I hadn't stepped foot in America.
Oh. Okay. So soon as you touch down, let's hear the story. As soon as you touch down, and we'll just continue on, and go through it.
Uh, Marion, Indiana, and for those of you who are into statistics, you can look it up. There's a ton of crime, and I think at one point it had one of the highest murder rates in America. And this, mind you, this was around like 2001 when I touched down in America. Um, it's like early 2001,
Damn.
and like I literally used to have to like walk by dead bodies every day. It was not enjoyable. It was also my first glimpse into poverty. And what's interesting about that situation is that my mother had finagled the money that I was supposed to have from my father, which was a sum of 6 million from us, but she kept us living in poverty. And she pretty much just balled out on like drugs for like these extravagant ass parties and other things outside of the home that had us living off of like simple ramen. And if I remember correctly, there's like this Jiffy peanut butter. I think it was like cinnamon apple Jiffy peanut butter that was out then, and we ate that a lot. It was fucking horrible.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You $6 million given to you.
Yeah, and all the information that was left to acquire that money was in my father's collection of memoirs, and in every volume of those memoirs, there's directions to how to get that money at the end of every volume. And so what she did is she found a way to get all of that money, and she absconded with it and blew it. There was one point in my life where my mother was talking about opening up a Christian lounge, which is one of the reasons we moved to Texas.
Mm-hmm.
We moved to Cedar
Big
Hill,
dog.
and she had already
Big dog.
bought everything that she needed.
Big dog.
like all the furniture and stuff that she was going to use. But what she did was she just kept it in storage for years, and that's a lot of stuff to store, and obviously that adds up. And not only that, but she continued to like throw these extravagant parties in like another city. Because when we were living in Cedar Hill, my mother was playing as if she was broke, and she had she had basically fooled my uncle, who was also not a fan of my father and also wasn't a fan of me by proxy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she'd fooled my uncle into thinking that we were broke and essentially needed to live with him. But she was just prepping for the Christian Lounge, which never got launched. Eventually, all that 6 million dried up due to her actions, and we ended up moving to Fort Worth. And again, we pretty much had nothing.
Man, bro, man. So what age were you when you moved to Fort Worth? It was Fort Worth, right?
Yeah, Fort Worth. I moved to Fort Worth when I was 11,
Okay.
and I started going to middle school then.
So we haven't even touched on school. Like how was the schooling during this time? Like being in a new
Uh,
area and going to school and stuff. How was it?
to be honest, I never got any like awkward stages of like moving in school aside from like moving to America in third grade and like hardly being able to speak English.
Okay.
Um, but I never really got any awkward moments because when I went to middle school, I started off in the sixth grade when I had moved to Fort Worth, and I was coming in on the beginning of that first semester. So like I didn't know anyone, but I also like by anyone's measure, I could have just come from another school or another school district and not could have or excuse me, and could have just gone to a different elementary school and
Mm-hmm.
ended up here.
Okay.
But but I was really reclusive by this point because like just living with my mom and how abusive she was, it turned me into an introvert.
Okay. And let's get into the abuse here. Like, what type of things would your mom do to you? And
Oh, dude, I've been through the fucking ringer. I'll tell you that. There was a New Year's party prior to me moving to Fort Worth, and I was upstairs playing video games. I got called down, and my mom was the type of mom, and I'm sure a lot of folks can identify with this. My mom was the type of mom that would like call you down to get like the remote off the table that's in front of her.
that's a
Mind,
typical thing.
yeah, yeah. So I've heard, but so like she called me down and she had me hand her beer. I was in my elements, like I was skulking, or not skulking, sulking. So I didn't like the idea of like getting pulled off of the game that I was enjoying because I was surrounded by a whole family of people that didn't like me. I definitely didn't like them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was treated like an outsider. So so what came of that was like the whole family basically one clowning me, which I didn't care about. Like I didn't care about like what they said. But when I didn't respond to them clowning me, one of my uncles pushed my temple up to my uncle had these bar chairs, right? They
Uh
sat
huh.
really high and they had four legs, and in between each leg there was like this little bracket, like a bracket of wood that would go like this. And so he shoved my temple up under there and wouldn't let me go and just held my head there with his foot. Massive guy, by the way. Like I'm only 5'10". My like right now I'm only like 5'10",
Uh huh.
and the men in my mother's family typically grow to be 6 foot plus. So this is a grown ass man doing that. So he basically shoved my temple up onto that and pushed it in until I actually like showed signs of struggle. And then after that, he yanked me up and threw me against the pool table and told me to get my ass back upstairs.
Damn, bro. That's
Just unnecessary, unnecessary shit like that happened all the time in my mother's family.
Yeah, that's hella unnecessary. I can only imagine, because the way I was brought up was different. But like shit like that, I don't condone anything like that. I condone, like playing around with your nephews or nieces and stuff like that. But there's a thing called taking it too far, and that I definitely don't agree with, and I'm pretty sure you don't agree with that shit going through it.
Yeah, that wasn't mere horseplay or anything. That was just malicious violence.
Yeah. All right. So we'll continue on. So you were sulking after you got the beer.
Yeah, I got her a beer and I just had my head down, and whatever happened happened. And I ended up going back upstairs. And I was playing SmackDown 2. I don't know if you remember the cold ass character creator, but that was like I lived in that shit, man. I lived in that character creator.
Oh man,
Yeah,
SmackDown 2.
yeah,
Woo.
yeah, man. I was
Okay.
still on the PlayStation at that time. Hadn't even
Oh
touched the
man.
PS2.
Okay. So
Video video games were pretty much like my my way of coping as a kid with like a lot of like the stress and and in hindsight depression that I was suffering from. It's really wild to go back and think like I was a fucking kid that was depressed. Like it never even crossed my mind because I didn't know that depression was a thing at the time.
and it's just sitting there eating away at you and stuff like that. So it's like during all this, it was like, where was your mindset? Like, how was you able to function day to day? You know, besides,
Literally literally just like gaming and at school I was like a jokester, like I'm always like cracking jokes on stream. But at school I was like the class clown. That's kind of how I let loose. That was my outlet.
okay, and during this time, like I know, like back in the old school ways, stuff like this would happen, and like teachers wouldn't notice or anything. Was there anybody who actually took notice and is like, we need to come and help this kid? Was there anybody like that during this time?
Oh no, I never let like anyone know when I was in middle school. It slipped out a little bit in high school, like by the time I was like 17. But yeah, when I was in middle school, fuck no, I wasn't going to do that. Because the way I rationalized it was, if kids are already like being sexually abused in foster care, and like I managed to like get myself taken away from my mother, sure I won't have to deal with abuse from her, but it might be worse where I end up going. Because I'd already like met kids who had been in the foster care system. So like I definitely wasn't going out like that. It was just a matter of like waiting things out and trying to stay out the way of my mom as much as possible.
That, yeah, and that's tough, because it started at 8, and then you know once you're graduated high school, it's like from that's 10 years. That's 10 long years.
The funny thing is I didn't get to graduate high school just because by the time I was 16, 17, like I just like ended up staying with friends, and I just didn't want to be around my mother anymore because it was really taking a toll on me, and I was having some really, really dark thoughts. And back then, I probably would have acted on it. Now, not so much. Like my mom's crumbling now, like health wise. To my knowledge, she's had two strokes, so she's on her way out, and that's what I consider my win.
Mm-hmm. Like it's hard because it's like how do I want to word this? I want to word this to where like you're brought into this world by your parents, and for them, like me being a father myself, I look at my daughter and I'd be like, how can I ever hurt this little child? There'd be times to where my daughter needs a massive whooping, and I will pop her one time and be like, no, you know we don't do that here. That's not what you do.
Mm.
Okay. And it's like, but thinking about like putting her through traumatic stress and like, I'm gonna assume because you didn't say it outright, probably like, you know, you were having suicidal thoughts and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah, absolutely.
And it's like, with suicidal thoughts and also comes with murdering people too. So
Right. Often.
you know,
Oftentimes that's what it boiled down to while I was living with my mom.
yeah, and it's like, like people think suicidal thoughts, like, stop it. A lot of people care about you and yada yada yada. But like put in situations that we are in, you know, how can people actually care for me when the person who brought me into this world doesn't?
I never really rationalized it like that. For one thing, I was probably suicidal from the time I was 16, consistently up until like 2017. And my suicidal thoughts came from everything that was outside of me. I never had to like struggle with like self-hatred or anything of that sort. Like
Okay.
I always, yeah, I'd never hated myself like because I knew who I was. I knew like the shit that was affecting me was outside of me. I wanted to die because I had consistently seen people who screwed other people over and they were always able to get ahead, which is one reason why I'm an atheist as well. But yeah, I'd always seen people like who were the worst of the worst, like from not only teachers but like and my own mother, but to like administrative staff and stuff like that. People like really like being the major gears in a lot of important operations. They were always able to get ahead. They were always able to make like a great amount of money, and they were always able to do well for themselves and others financially, at least.
Mm-hmm. You know, I had a similar talk about this too. I had a similar talk on this about our pod last night, and it's like, you know, negotiations and stuff like that. Like when it comes with like stuff like that and like people of color. I know that you're not going down this route yet, but like, why do people of color have to negotiate to get the same as somebody else, where somebody else can just be offered that without any negotiation? So we
Or
had a
just
little
plain
talk.
overperform.
Yeah. So it's it has hands within each other, but it's not the same. I want to make sure it's not the same. But like, we had a very similar conversation about that last night, and I
Mhm.
think it's funny that you actually touched on it and stuff like that. So we're gonna bring it back. We're gonna bring it back to high school. You said 16. You started staying at people's house. You was like, when did you ultimately make that decision? Like, how did it all go down?
Um, I was like a huge mall rat. Like I played a lot of Dance Dance Revolution when I
Mm-hmm.
was a teen, and I was always at Ridgemar Mall, which was the mall that was pretty much popping in Fort Worth. And like if you were a kid who went to high school, you were definitely going to Ridgemar Mall because that's where everyone was going. And
Okay.
the arcade there had like a huge DDR and ITG. ITG stands for in the groove. DDR and ITG scene, and those like all those people were just like pretty much like family to me, and I still like hang out with a lot of those people, and if I don't hang out with them then we still talk frequently. Like I got some really solid friends from that situation, and so eventually like I ended up like staying over some of their houses, and I just found like I was able to be at peace over there, and I was treated with like more respect than I had been treated since I moved to America.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just ended up like house hopping, and I'd occasionally go back home, but it was just another form of like ducking my mom at that point.
Okay. And so with all that, school never came into play. Like you just stopped going, or what? What was the
There
story
were
with that?
there were quite a few times where I would end up outside of the city for weeks, and so like I just didn't have like a way to go to school, and truancy eventually caught up with me, and I was expelled.
Okay. Okay. So, here we go. When was the big decision to actually just be on your own and leave?
Um, I remember when I was 17, for like a period of 2 months, I had finally gone back home to my mom. And this goes back to like her flashing out. She had flashed out over me not doing the dishes for her and her boyfriend. Mind you, her and her boyfriend constantly ate, but they were also the type of people who ate through the night and they wouldn't use the same dish. So I would just like constantly have to do dishes throughout the day. And I'd fallen asleep at around 9 and I got woken up and hit over the head with a skillet. And like she started yelling at me and told me that I didn't do shit around the house. And so she'd kicked me out. I only had like this purple hoodie and these jeans that I had on, and my shoes, like these old Nike Shox that like barely had the bottoms on them. They talked. They were talking to you. But but yeah, and I ended up staying with someone who's a former friend now, um for like a month. And like eventually I had to just go back and get my stuff. Like I literally had to hit a lick and get my stuff. And
Okay.
thankfully she wasn't home at the time, but I definitely had to go and get my stuff, man.
All right. So,
And then I didn't look back from there.
all right. So where
That
do
was
we go from there?
so after that there was a period of 2 years because I still didn't have my I didn't have my birth certificate or my social security card because my mother kept both of those on her at all times. And we had previously tried to set up meetings with her to where I could get my stuff, and she kept claiming that that she didn't have them and that she thinks that I took them out of her wallet. Mind you, a certificate can't fit in your wallet. Like she always kept my birth certificate in the glove compartment in her car.
Mm,
But so after like trying to set up several meetings just to get my stuff so I could go out into the world and work and provide for myself, um, I was I was homeless, and it was a hell of a struggle. It was something I would never wish upon my worst enemy.
and yeah. So you're homeless, no birth certificate, no social security, can't get a job. What was the outlet like? What did you do? How did you survive? What was going through your mind? Let us know that.
I had some like loose friends that I would stay with from time to time, but like, resources are limited in this world, especially when like you're already an adult that provides for yourself, so you can't always help people all the time. And I
Mm-hmm.
understood that. So like when I had to sleep out on the streets, then I had to sleep out on the streets. Um, so I just went through the motions, and eventually uh, a police officer came across me when I was sleeping outside of this old club called Sinbad's. And I basically told him like what was going on in my life and why I wasn't able to like find work. And he basically set me up with this deal to where I could just like get some police to go with me and get my stuff so I could finally look for work. And yeah, that's the thing.
Man,
It ended up working out. It's the only good encounter I could like actually positive encounter I've had with the police.
that
Um, Thankfully, I've never had to go to jail,
See,
but but like most of my interactions with the police just weren't positive due to like my living situation. But that guy was willing to understand me, and I'm really grateful that he did what he did. And so from there, I was able to look for work, which was hard as hell without an address. A friend of mine let me use his address, and that's how I got my first job, which was at Wendy's. It was horrible. 0 out of 10 would not recommend.
oh man, and you know that goes to show not all cops are bad cops. You know, like it takes one. You know, it takes one, but we need more than just one. You know, to help out and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, because you know like people like and it's called going through the motions. I know a lot about it. You know, I do it from time to time. It's like you'll just go through the motions. Oh, this is my job to kick out this homeless person and yada yada yada. I'm just gonna kick them. You know, they did something to fuck up their life. You know, and looking in on that, you know, like me also being homeless, not as long as you though, but like, you know, I was homeless for a little time in my life. Like, it,
It's rough.
yeah, it's rough. Um, it gives you that little perspective that, you know, maybe it's their fault, maybe it's not their fault. You know, you don't know that person.
I just think that most people don't inquire into like the nuances and what leads up to someone being homeless because everyone's one crisis away from being homeless,
Mm-hmm.
or the majority of people are. Like finances are a very, very fickle thing, and just losing your job for enough time can just like send you out to the streets, man.
Exactly. And also with that being said, you know, like how we to know that some homeless people ain't con artists, you know, because that's was also a big thing too. And you know, it's really sad that you know we look upon the homeless and probably this day and age or you know back then is like I gotta make a character decision whether you're really homeless or not, you know.
Me personally, like I don't have those hangups. Like I don't care if someone like happens to get like 20 or $5 off of me and they don't happen to be homeless, like because I'm doing it out. If I give to someone who's homeless or who I perceive as homeless, then like I'm doing that out of the kindness of my heart, not because like I have something to gain from it or it's supposed to be going to a good cause.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you think about it, and mind you, like I'm someone who's been sober since like age 15. I don't indulge in any intoxicants. But if you think about it, like if you're tipping like a barista at Starbucks, let's say,
Okay.
and like sure, they're doing their job, they're providing a service. But like they could still be like going out and doing a bunch of cocaine at the end of their shift. But what can happen from there is the same thing that could happen if you give that homeless dude like $5. Because people like to use this excuse like, oh, he might be going to do drugs. And it's like, okay, but your cousin does cocaine. Your homeboy smokes sherm.
Yeah,
I don't really try to like worry too much if I'm giving away money that's like disposable income, so long as my heart's in the right place.
that's a different outtake that I have never actually thought of before. You know, thank you for sharing that. All right, so
Got to keep it solid.
we're I'm gonna go to the story where the police are with you. You go and get your stuff, right? How did that all go down?
So essentially, we arrived at my mother's apartment, and I had the police knock on the door first, so that like she wouldn't do anything crazy, because my mom kept a pistol on her, and she also had a shotgun in her bedroom, which was like left adjacent to
Mm-hmm.
the door. So like I had them uh, knock on the door, and they basically discussed the situation and explained that like you can't legally keep this man's documents away from him. and essentially cripple him in this way. And so my mother tried to drum up a story about like how I was always welcome back and how I chose to leave. Typical stuff, typical lies that came from her.
Mm-hmm.
And the police pretty much just weren't having it at that point. And so they asked her to present the documents and said if she didn't, then she would probably be incarcerated. And so she got the social security card out of her wallet, which is where she kept it, and she went and got the birth certificate out of her car. And so I was able to get my stuff, and the police left because they weren't obligated to take me anywhere anyway.
Yeah.
They were just there to do what they needed to do in order to get me my documents. And so I just walked back to the friend's house that I was staying with, which was like 3 miles away from my mom's house.
And never look back.
Never looked back.
All right.
Never
So.
wanted to, dude, because like my main goal when it comes to like being financially stable is to be able to just move back home to Miyazaki. Like I'm not even too concerned about like finding my father's family. I just want to be able to be back home to somewhere that feels like home and familiar to me.
Okay. So first job was Wendy's. You're working there. It's terrible.
Terrible.
Um,
The grease was real.
the
Yeah, I was a freaking fry cook, man. It was the grease was real. Cleaning out that a grease trap. I always hated that stuff. I was tired every night, and I worked nights, so like I wouldn't get out until like 2 in the morning.
makes
But
sense. Makes sense.
yeah, I was working for 7.25, the bare minimum. They treated you like crap. They really tried to make you feel like you needed that job. And at the time, I actually did need the job while I was trying to look for other stuff, but I rarely had time to like go out and look for other work just because the way my schedule was set up.
Mm-hmm. All right. So what's during this time at Wendy's? Any stories? Anything happen? Like.
Um, Not really. Like it was fairly tame. We had a really cool ass manager named Willie. He's an old guy, super into Michael Jackson, like to a wild degree. Like have you ever met someone who's like such a fan of a celebrity that they know like every fact about their life? That's what type of time Willie was on.
Oh, Willie had facts about Michael Jackson. All right.
Yeah.
I know
he
about.
even
Go ahead.
he he even worked in penny loafers like as like a tribute to him.
Willie, Willie, Willie. My
Willie was
man,
not
Willie.
playing. Willie was not playing, man.
Willie was
Uh,
starting something, man.
but yeah, that place was pretty uneventful. We had a really creepy ass manager. I was always trying to like hire girls and like hit on them. That shit never sat right with me. And he didn't like me because I called him out on that shit several times. But he also couldn't fire me over that.
Yes.
And that goes back to my speculative nature. But yeah, that dude was that was probably the start uh of me really seeing that like the most trash people can just get ahead in life with like no handles.
No handles at all. All right.
Yeah.
So, would you say right now that we're beginning to see like the rise of, and my fault. You never did you want to discuss your first and last name? I don't think you actually gave that.
No, it's not something I really enjoy.
Okay.
Uh,
So,
the
um,
interesting thing about my stream name, Nobushigazai, it is my original birth name, but my mother changed my name from that to something else she whenever she brought me over here to America. And
okay.
she
So,
also gave me her last name.
Mm,
or maiden name rather.
all right. So we're gonna go with the name Nobu. All right. So
Yeah.
you know, during the Wendy's thing and working, we're gonna say this is starting to be the rise of Nobu, or was it a bumpy road to get to where you are today?
It was a hell of a bumpy road. Um, I don't feel like I got financially stable to the point where like I was able to save money up until like almost 2 years ago when I started working where I'm working now, which I won't elaborate on, but yeah. Um, I worked quite a few jobs. I worked for a company called Brookdale, and I was not a fan of how they treated their residents, but I did enjoy my job. Just because working around a bunch of old folks was not only eventful, but like the old people don't give two shits, dude. You'll hear the most wild things come from those tables. I worked as a busboy there for like I think 2 years, and then I ended up becoming a porter. And for those of you who don't know what a porter is, it's basically another term for a janitor. And so I would just help folks move out of their apartments occasionally, but I was responsible for cleaning 5 floors, and I did a damn good job of it.
Okay, okay.
I parted ways just because I couldn't take like the flippancy and the lack of care for the residents. It really started eating at me.
All right. So you said there was a lot of bumps in the road. Like let's hit on some of these bumps. Um, what kind of bumps were you hitting, man? Like, what was you doing here?
So pretty much I was sorting through like my feelings and how I felt about like my upbringing and just really like spending most of my adult life reflecting. For the first 8 years of my adult life, I um I decided to become completely celibate because the last partner I'd had at 18, pretty much all we did was have sex. And like there was some love there, but like most of it boiled down to just having like sex. And I decided to part ways with her, and we ended up just never getting back together, despite that being my intention. And that's understandable because like you can't hold someone on a leash like that.
At
But
all?
yeah, and I'm pretty sure she had time to reflect as well. But yeah, things just didn't work out from that point, and I just wanted to become a better man for myself,
Okay.
and I did that and never looked back after I found out like that she wasn't down for getting back together.
Okay. So you said age of 18, you're celibate for how many years?
5.
5.
Yeah, it's
Um,
like till 23.
was there any time where you struggled not trying, like, trying to have sex? Like, how was it? Was it a struggle? Was you okay with it?
The first 4 months were probably the hardest, but after that, I just got used to it, and, I got to a point where whenever I would, like, feel horny, I would just repurpose that into doing something that I love or doing something that would benefit me long term. I
Okay.
get really deep into, like, meditation.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, that is a good question, Game Geezer. Is like you never fapped, you never masturbated, you
Yeah,
just
I've talked about this on stream several times. I wasn't fapping or anything.
oh man,
Yeah.
like this day and age. Well, me personally, I don't think I can. I could probably do it now, but like the willpower that you had and like the things like the meditation and everything, like that hands to you, man. Hands to you, because a lot of people don't have that type of self control.
Yeah, when you really want something, I feel like you have the will to actually go after what you want. And I wanted one thing that's always been really, really deep in my mind was just progression. That's pretty much what I live for. is just to progress in whatever I do, be it streaming, be it work, be it just as a person.
That's good. That's okay. That's real good. So we're gonna move over. Where was another bump for you during this time?
Um, so I ended up living at the spot. I was paying like really low rent. It's like 210 per month.
Okay,
And
that's
after I
good.
left Brookdale, I ended up working at a smoothie spot, and that was horrible. The and it was a franchise spot, so like it wasn't like corporate run. So there was like no PTO or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I worked that until I got another job, and that job was at a grocery store. And so that grocery store, it was volatile as hell. Like there was a dude who was like creeping on the youngest of girls. That seems to just be like a common thing in workplaces. Thankfully, I don't have to deal with it at my current workplace, but that just seems like a common thing, and dudes tend to just get away with the most bullshit.
He's like
And
a
this guy was like in his 50s, dude.
and the other manager, the one at Wendy's who would hire the young girls just to hit on them, were they like in their 50s too? I'm trying to see if there's like a connection to this.
I think that dude was like either in his late 30s or early 40s.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
He looked fairly young. Like if you didn't see like the wrinkles on him, like if those had smoothed out, you wouldn't be able to tell that he was older.
so you're at this it's a smoothie no, it's the grocery store, right?
Yeah.
Grocery store, old dude, 50 years old, just
And he
like
wasn't a manager or anything.
oh
He's just a random jank.
so he's just looking at the girls, watching them climb up ladders, the whole front, right?
Yeah, and these girls would actually report him, and the management wouldn't do shit about it. Even though we had cameras in the store. Not a damn thing done. It's really common, man.
That's really sad to see too.
Um, but yeah, after I ended up leaving that job specifically wasn't a bump, but I quit that job for a work from home job. I used to work for a company, and I won't name the company, but it's a local company that basically did political surveys, and we
Okay.
ran polls. And I was told initially that it was going to be 40 hours per week or more, with no cap on overtime, and work whenever you want. So I would start in the morning, and I would try to work the job, and we had a lot of people on the lines, so like we would get through the jobs really quickly. And supposedly, whenever we got through a job, it would guarantee us more work. But as time went on, we didn't have like as much work as we had employees. So the jobs that we were working were very infrequent and very short. So you had to get in like as soon as possible. And I worked every single one of those, but it just wasn't enough money to live on. And I was just like, I don't know, I was down in the dumps, man. Wasn't a good time.
Mm. So what was the move after this, man? What was the move?
Um, our lease at the apartment that I was staying with two friends, actually two of the people I knew from from the old arcade from Ridgemar Mall, the Blue Kangaroo. Um, so our lease dried up. I ended up staying with another friend, and I found out where I or I looked on Craigslist for a few days while staying with that friend and paying month to month, and I found where I live now on Craigslist. Five
Okay.
hundred, 500 a fucking month in a house, and full access to the kitchen and everything. Own personal air conditioning, own personal bathroom. It's pretty sweet. It's small but sweet. It's enough
Okay.
for me to stream from.
And how long have you lived at this place?
It's about to be it's about to be 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
about to be 2 years in August.
All right.
Yeah, my
So
landlord is shit too. Like he can fix anything. His brother's cool as fuck. And the way the layout is that the landlord's brother lives right next to me, like right behind this wall, and the kitchen goes out, and there's another kitchen for my landlord and his boyfriend, and they live towards the back of the house.
Okay.
Yeah, it's cool as hell.
All
They
right.
breed dogs and stuff. And
Nice.
since moving in here, I haven't had any bumps. I overcame my depression in 2017 just through like deep contemplation, and I had an epiphany around 2017. Like I used to think that nothing was, and I still do, just in a different way. But I used to think that nothing has purpose. But I came to the conclusion that if nothing has purpose and we create our own reality, then we can create our own purpose. It's pretty much how I've been living life, creating my own purpose.
Okay. Earlier, you mentioned that, this for the viewers who just got in here. Your dad left you basically $6 million. Your mom went through all that. Like I can't even fathom like how you can go through $6 million. Like in my head, it's just not like connecting or anything. It's like how do you go through that money and like and all this stuff. But the
Dude, if you if you
right,
saw the parties that she was throwing, it was like some big meech level shit.
yeah,
Like you remember that skit from Dave Chappelle
uh huh.
where Tyrone Biggums is like throwing a crack party? It was like that, but with like cocaine and a bunch of weed in the early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
My
The
mom used to smoke primos.
see, you see, and it doesn't like the early 2000. $6 million just had so much more value to it than it is now.
Yeah, you can blow through you can blow through 6 mil without a extravagant party
Yeah.
these days.
So my point was you talked about these memoirs that your father left you, right?
Yeah.
And how did you come to find these memoirs?
Well, he left them to me, and during my childhood, my early childhood, probably starting around the time I was 5, my uncles and aunts would read them to me before I would go to sleep, just so I would have a better understanding of the man that my father was. And that was one of the things that he left in his will.
Okay.
He also had a bunch of other kids. Like I'm one of 14 kids. I have 13 siblings that are spread across the world. Because, as I've said before, my father cheated a lot. And my father wasn't cheating like with your secretary, or he wasn't pulling like the Bill Clinton. No Monica Lewinsky status right here. He was going to other countries and meeting women. And because he was a relatively great looking guy, uh, he was able to do this. Like he was 69 when I was conceived. He looked like he was in his like early 40s.
All
So
right.
he was on that type of time.
Yeah, the fountain of youth.
Yeah, no kidding. But but yeah, like I've only met 7 of my siblings and I don't even have contact with them now. It's like they had contact to me through my grandfather and my uncles and aunts, but since that's been severed due to me living with my mother and being forced to move over here and having those ties severed, um, like I haven't had contact with any of them.
Now, your mom had another child, your half sister.
Yeah,
Have you met her or
yeah,
anything?
we lived together with my mother, of course,
Oh, okay.
and yeah, and she was also abusive, but that was like I've come to terms with that. That was due to like how my mother was. And my mother used to do this thing, and I'm sure you're familiar with this dynamic. My mother used to do this thing where like she would pit me and my sister against each other pretty much, and she would basically point out like my features, like my lighter skin, because my sister's dark skin. She's darker than you,
Okay.
and like as you know, like growing up in America, like dark skinned girls get treated like crap, and really just like in adulthood as well. And so like my sister suffered a lot of trauma due to like being compared to me and stuff, and always wanted to be lighter. And I don't know, my mom just like set her up to fail.
So, do you and your sister still talk to this day, or was that
No,
severed?
no, I don't talk to my sister because she still talks to my mother. I would be more than inclined to like be cool with my sister because we've talked about like everything that she went through as a kid, and how a lot of that was attached to me, uh, even though it wasn't like my fault per se, but it was like by proxy through me. Because otherwise, my mom wouldn't have anyone to compare, like have another sibling to compare her to and make her feel like shit.
Yeah,
My
and
mom was also one of those mothers who tries to compete with their daughter. Like by the time my sister was like 15, my mom would just get like really jealous of her.
oh wow, jealous of a 15-year-old, you know.
Yeah.
And it's also, you know, like I think a lot of hate comes too because you also said that your mother left your sister,
Yes. To live with
um
my grandmother.
and to have you. So you know, it's like my mom left to have this light skinned baby, and then you know, like all the tools for hatred are there, and
Yeah.
like the way you said your mom used those tools, it's like it's just like a despicable human being, you know? Like
Bro,
that's
she's like super villain tier with the finessing.
mhm.
She doesn't play any games when it comes to like trying to hurt people. And unfortunately, a little bit of that has rubbed off on me. Like I was not a nice kid. I was not a jovial kid. Like I would make people cry with my words just cuz like what my mom said to me, I knew how to like mesh my words from I mean to make people feel like crap. And I was also a smaller kid, so like if you talk shit about me being short, I would point out a lot of stuff about you that you probably don't like about yourself.
And usually it's a cycle until you break it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And thankfully I've done a good job breaking it, but I definitely keep that stuff in reserve. Like if I actually do have to talk my shit, then I'm gonna talk my shit.
Mhm. It's a good tool to use for defense, but a bad tool to use in general, you know?
Yeah, it's just like anything in life, you can't use the same skill set for everything.
Exactly.
Like if you need to tank, you don't need to stack damage.
There you go. All right. So, were you able to actually get a hold of these memoirs yourself, or
After my mother got the money that was in those instructions at the end of each volume, there were about 7 volumes. They were
okay?
big. The bitches were big and thick. I don't know if you've ever seen this book, but there's a book called Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Okay.
It's like hardback, and they were like that size.
I will look it up after this.
Hmm.
um,
But but yeah, after she did that, she burned pretty much everything that was dear to me that I came over with, and the only thing that really survived that fire was this knife. I don't remember where it is. I think it's on my dresser over there. I'm not gonna go get it though.
okay.
But she burned everything from my hakama that I used to use to practice aikido. Um, any bit of like clothing that reminded her of my homeland. Like she tried to strip me of my identity. And I'll always hate her for that.
Yeah, that's that is rough.
Yeah.
Like, cause I don't know, man. You know, I'm kind of speechless about this whole thing, but you know, thank you for sharing this stuff with us and stuff like that. Now, when did you start streaming?
I think I started in 2015.
2015. And
Yeah. And it was real off and on due to just like living situations and all that.
of course, because you need somewhere to stay, to have a a stable streaming setup and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And so when was it when you started streaming, like how did you feel about it? What was the things that got you into streaming in the first place?
Well, I've been a gamer for all my life. I've
Mm-hmm.
been gaming since I was like 2 years old. My first game was Pitfall: The Mind Adventures, which my dad used to wreck. My dad used to beat that no problem with no damage. Like he was really good at video games. In fact, not to veer off too far, but like one of the reasons why my why some of my uncles and cousins, older cousins, the cousins who were like born a generation before you,
Yeah.
yeah, those types of cousins, they used to actually play my dad in Mortal Kombat. My dad made Baraka, and he would fuck them up and talk his shit, and basically make them feel bad that an old man was putting them in the fridge. But the no, no, just like the ability to not only game but also like have company and have people to talk to while gaming. That's the thing that initially got me onto streaming. And the first game that I ever streamed was The Division. And those streams were scuffed because I did not have a good rig at the time. From there, I progressed to streaming Guild Wars 2, which is my all-time favorite MMO. Um, I'm real off and on with it these days, but yeah, I used to do a lot of Guild Wars 2 PvP.
Oh yeah. I mean, you still do it to this day, right?
Yeah, it's occasional, but I still do it.
Okay. And you also play a lot of Fallout. I see you play a lot of Fallout, and you know
Got to.
what's I know you like the voice act too. Let's get this right here. Give us a Fallout character, and like introduce yourself using like a Fallout character's name. How about that?
Um, let me think of one. Oh, there's someone who really likes me to do strong, who is a super mutant from Fallout. And strong kind of talks like this. He's very, very simple in the head. And he's pretty much focused on anything that's violent. Why human talk? Strong wants smash.
Sounds like my type of character, man.
Yeah, Strong doesn't play, man. He's one of my favorite companions from Fallout.
Oh man, that's great. I'm trying to think of more questions here. Chat. As of right now, we're gonna open it up to any questions you guys want to ask. We're gonna go ahead and ask Nobu, and this is your time right now. If we go like 5 minutes without y'all saying a question, we would end the stream, and we would thank Nobu for coming out and sharing his stories. All right. Do you have the chat up, or do I have to read the questions to you, Nobu?
Oh no, I have it pulled up on my phone right here.
Okay. Game Geezer with the first question.
What led to the desire to voice act? As I said earlier in the interview, I became an introvert due to my living situation and just like trying to duck abuse at every corner. So, I was left with a lot of games that I played that had like either remarkable or like really crappy voice acting. Like Dynasty Warriors was something that was huge in my adolescence, especially like age 13. I played a lot of Dynasty Warriors, and the voice acting on Dynasty Warriors 5 by many people's measure is abysmal. But I always thought it was cool that like there were real people behind these voices. Um, and I also grew up watching a lot of Cartoon Network, so like I really like more eccentric voices like Meatwad and by proxy Stitch, because the same thing that you do with your throat to do Meatwad's voice, I'm just out here trying to listen to MCP Mind.
That is good.
Is is the same thing that you do
to do Stitch, except Stitch is a little slower and also a little bit deeper.
So
That
pretty much being like a lonely ass kid led me to want to do voice acting. And in fact, in the latter half of this month, I'm supposed to be going out to my homeboy's spot in Grand Prairie. He's going to teach me how to mix down audio so I can start recording a portfolio and putting it on SoundCloud and any other platform that that I can in order to get more ears on me, for lack of a better term. There's also something in regards to voice acting that I can do that few people can, and it's called polyphonics. Essentially, I get to vibrate multiple vocal cords to make more than one voice come out.
So, if I were to introduce myself as Nobushige or Shin the Legend, or the illustrious Game Geezer,
I can do that without any type of voice changer.
holy shit. This
Yeah.
I know that I like we know like here I watch a lot of streamers, and like I try to nitpick and see like what is this person's special talent, what is this, and one of these days I just heard Nobu just like I was in there lurking. I haven't even followed him yet. He doesn't know this. I was just sitting there watching him, and he starts doing this voice acting thing, and I was like, so if most of you don't know, Game Geezer is my brother from a different mother and father.
That's my dude. That's my
But
dude, man.
he'll put me on to certain streamers. He's like, yeah, you'll get along with this guy and this person and that person. So I was like, I'll have conversations. He's like, yeah, you should check him out. He's a good dude. And it's like, if that's like the first sentence that does not come out of his mouth, like I'm not gonna check the person out. Like that's how close he is because he knows me. And like I'm just checking out. Like he told me to check out Nobu. I just see the voice acting thing. I was like, this guy right here, he can go somewhere with that. Like, but I never knew like you could do like what you do on stream. Like I never knew you could do so much more. Like that was just like fucking cool. Like it's
Yeah,
fucking.
generally, when I'm on stream and I'm doing some voice acting, if there's no like specific tone that I pick up, if I don't pick up a tone that's written by Khajiit in the Elder Scrolls Online, I won't use that voice.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll generally use a voice for my main character. In Fallout, it's a little bit deeper and grungier because I've been through the wasteland. But in the Elder Scrolls Online, I play a Bosma, and so I have to be a little bit more passionate. But I do take it a little lower.
Okay.
So it really just depends on the content that's coming my way. It's all improvised.
And it's great because you could do so many different voices. You have so many opportunities and I guess movements when it comes to doing certain characters. Like you're not just stitched down to one thing. There you go,
You
Game
said
Geezer.
stitched.
Also stitched.
He got range. There we go.
Yeah,
You
man.
got range. We have any other questions out there, guys?
If there aren't any yet, one thing that really helped me with that stint through celibacy is getting into the different ranges of emotion, because I was someone who definitely used to suppress their emotions. Like any type of positive emotion, every time I felt it, I would feel like someone was getting me off guard. And as I got used to like feeling my emotions and in fact embracing them, I was um I was able to open up more doors for me as far as voice acting goes. Because I used to be a person who didn't smile at all. But now that I can smile, and now that I can feel what it feels like to be happy without any feeling of like dread following it, I can do like different voices. Like I remember I was playing Cyberpunk a while back, and there's some stuff that's written by like people who are like high off of chems and like seem like they would be real jittery. So I'll kind of use like this voice and add in like a few laughs here and there and really spice it up, spice up the dialogue. But sure, you could just read this recording like just like this, or people aren't going to be too engaged with your regular voice. But if this guy is like supposed to be hopped off the chems, you gotta spice it up. You gotta make these people really feel like you're reading something that's written by someone who's off their rocker.
Oh yeah. See, when I try to do a little bit like of voice acting, I have this thing to like if I talk too much, like the saliva just starts going everywhere in my mouth. I know that's nasty, but like
Not at all.
if I'm if I'm reading something like because I was like, it's not coming from me, so it's like well, blah 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 and yada yada yada, so I don't sound as entertaining because
So that
like,
you hold back the saliva.
I'm trying to control the saliva, and then like on top of that I have dyslexia, so like words and letters are moving, so like sometimes I would put a word there. It's like, why'd you put that word there? Because like the way I'm reading it doesn't make sense unless that word is in there.
Yeah, that's understandable if you have dyslexia.
But you know like the thing is, like when I moved to Sacramento, it's like which is why I can like feel with you about moving to a different place, even though I moved from just 3 hours away. Nobody in Sacramento, like none of my teachers, the schools, they didn't care that I had dyslexia. So they kind of like pretended I never had it. I had it. It was very visible. You see the kid cannot read simple sentences without adding extra words and stuff like that. But they just turn their back, and I have a big thing about the school system.
Typical American education system.
Yeah. So it's like I'm going through the rest of my high school and middle school career, acting like I don't have dyslexia. I have it,
Mm-hmm.
And
I appreciate you being transparent about that too.
Yeah.
I think that's really important, like as a streamer, like, and really just as a person to be not only authentic but transparent. Because if you're transparent, like people can't really like start rumors about you.
Yeah.
Because everything that you have to say is already on the floor. Now, if you want to question someone after that, then it's totally up to you. But I mean, if I said it, then it's on the floor.
Yeah. So it's like I actually had a couple of conversations with my friends. I was like, did you know I had dyslexia? No, I never knew,
I had no idea. And I've seen you read stuff.
Yeah. And it'd be like, well, now that you said something, it actually does make a lot of sense,
Really? That's fucked up.
Yeah, but they're just thinking I'm just reading stuff, and like how I do it is, I'll read something. If I fuck up, I'll be like, oh well, fuck it, it's just words anyway, like I've been like the school system didn't care, so I'm gonna have to live with it, and if I'm living with it, the school doesn't care, I might as well act like it doesn't matter, I act like I don't have it, I'm just a regular kid, but truthfully, I might need glasses right now.
I don't think that. I think that the concept of regular doesn't really exist because we're so multifaceted as human beings. I think people try to impose this sense of normalcy, but I think it's all a facade.
Mm-hmm.
Like most people want you to be normal, or they'll use anything that's like bread and butter. to try to put you in a box. But like, if you don't belong in that shit, and you belong in a tank, or maybe you just belong roaming free, then fuck it. You might as well just be you, man. I don't think that anyone should have to put on an act. I think the best thing that we can do as individuals is just be ourselves unapologetically. Well, not beyond the means of like being questioned for like horrible behaviors. I'm pretty sure people can understand where I'm coming from there. Like
Yeah.
if you're out here like harassing people and shit, like you should probably check yourself about that. You should definitely check yourself about that. But I think that being ourselves is like the closest thing that you could get to like paradise.
Good words from the man Nobu. All right.
Yeah, I don't really pull punches for people. Any game geezer said normal is comforting until you end up with a huge population of people that have severe anxiety disorders from trying to remain normal and feel so outside of their skin that they don't even know who they are.
Is an evolutionary drive to want to fit in. Yeah, like as I learned going through my life, and Nobu can explain on his too. Like you can't fit in everywhere. You can't, because there's some places where people want you to fit in that you're just not comfortable. Like he said, like comforting. They want you in this box, but you deserve to be in a tank or something. It's basically the same thing. Like I don't want to fit in with high school. High school. I was like, I was a jock. I played football, like junior and senior year. And I was like, you know, I have I'm not hanging out with my true friends, like stuff like that. I'm not having fun. I'm with these guys, but I'm not with these guys, and it's I find myself hanging out like towards my senior year. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna hang out with my friends more. Like that's when like me and Game Geezer, we started hanging out more at lunch. I had a couple of other friends. I just started hanging out more and more with them, even during football season. Yes, nerd time. I would skip. I would skip my fifth period class. Kind of bit me in the ass during the end of the school year. I would skip fifth period to hang out with Game Geezer and our other boy Hassel because they had the same fifth period class. And we would sit there and we would play Step Mania on the computer because it was a computer class. So we'll be playing like emulators on the computers in there and shit.
That's
And
bad.
it was
You guys got
funny.
emulators on your high school computers?
Yes, we did. Where there was a will, there's a way, guys. All right,
The finesse game is real.
man. The funny thing is, one day, one day, the teacher of that class looks at me. He's like, "Do you even have this class?" And I was like, I was like, I want to be in this class. He's like, whatever, whatever, and just went on to take him roll. But
A lot of teachers don't be giving a shit.
oh man, he was like probably one of the best teachers of that year. I think he got fired the next year though. I don't know if it was because of us, but like he would go down in history as one of the better teachers.
Yeah, my coolest teachers were teachers that bent the rules. Like we had this badass teacher who used to play guitar in my sophomore year. He was our history teacher, and he used to like give us like lessons, but like turn them into music. His name was Mr. Johnson. Uh, like young, probably like 25-year-old white guy, curly hair. Like really looked like he came out of a coffee shop and just came off of a big performance. That type of energy. And he ended up helping out one of the kids that I used to be friends with in middle school. He was a part of my skate group. And he let him stay with him for a bit. And like Mr. Johnson smoked weed and so did my friend. And eventually, I guess like my friend had told some of the kids at the school, and kids can hold water, so word got around, and Mr. Johnson ended up getting fired. It's a real shame because he was a cool guy, and his curriculum was great. He kept me tuned in.
All for helping out a student,
Yeah,
and it's
it was a
like,
kid who was going through a lot, man.
and it's like, this is where it come with the industry and stuff like that. What are we actually looking at here? Are we like a student can't stay with a teacher? If a teacher has kids, can that student actually go to that school then? Does the
I'm pretty
kid?
sure that's allowed because that happened plenty at my schools at least.
So what is
But
the
yeah,
problem
it
with?
makes you wonder where the line is drawn.
Yeah. So we don't know. Maybe he was actually gonna probably. I mean, if you think about it, nobody's gonna really adopt a 15 to 18-year old, going through high school.
Right.
Just giving the kid a place to live and helping them out. That's like, the better situation. Like helping the kid out. Like, so why should a person be fired for being a teacher? Because and my thing is like we're lifelong learners and we're lifelong teachers. All right, no matter how
Absolutely.
old you are. Okay, so like the teacher helping a student out, the school should have been like, all right, why is this teacher helping this student? What's going on at home? That's what you need to do. Get down to the
Right.
nitty gritty. Don't
The
blame the teacher.
nuances. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that something that lacks a lot in American society and perhaps the world over is that a lot of people don't want to look into the nuances of most situations. The who, what, when, where, and why that we were taught in middle school.
exactly.
And the most important out of all those things is why. Because why encompasses who, what, when, and where.
But I have three words for people like that. It's like I don't care. That's because that's how they take it. They don't care. You're a teacher in the school. Like if you're like principals included, you're supposed to care about the children. That right there says you don't care.
Yeah. That it shows that the system doesn't care because it all boils down to like bureaucracy and like arbitrary laws or policies or regulations or what have you.
Hmm.
Suki said, I think it's important to surround yourself with people who will support you to be your authentic self. And that is one of the major reasons I stream. One thing that I do whenever it comes to having people in my stream is I want them to be themselves. And whether or not, or if you are yourself and I happen to have a problem with XYZ, I make sure I address it either on the side or in the moment. Most of the time in the moment, just because, just for the sake of transparency.
Hmm.
But I think that if we were more into the business of talking to people as they go on their life's path, as opposed to like trying to preemptively stuff them into these roles or force these behaviors upon them that don't fit them, we would probably have a lot less mental health issues in this world, and we would probably have like a lot more happy people.
Um. Oh yeah, geezer. Oh yeah. We went to a bad high school. We knew it. It's like we can't have a bad high school. We can't have a bad high school and a bad sports team too. Because that's what we had. We had nothing good.
In regards to that, Game Geezer, elective teachers always get the shaft. Uh, and they always have to like pay for their materials. Every art teacher I had always had to come out of pocket. Um, every language teacher, if they wanted to like present something interesting, like they would have to either go rent that item or buy it themselves. Even some of the reading material.
Oh yeah, and
Elective teachers get shafted.
me and Geezer came from a high school to where like like every high school, like every district has that one school that's on the bottom of the totem pole. We
Hmm.
were like probably way below the totem pole, but like our grades and stuff, like like we had a good passing rate and stuff like that. Our school was most likely crowded, but like all these other schools, that we were in the same district with, like was like years advanced from our school, and it's like parents would actually take kids out of our school just to try to get them to those other schools and stuff like that, the better situation. Actually, no. Burbank. I actually went to Burbank, and they had some stuff. We'll just say it like that. They had some stuff. Not to mention they had a
Dang.
good football team. Football,
So
basketball.
you're saying the football team wasn't up to par?
Man, our jerseys weren't up to par when I joined.
Rough, rough.
I felt like we was playing in like some little league jerseys for a while.
Oh hell no! With the pads sticking out.
Man,
Yeah,
our jerseys, like even the hand me downs were terrible though, man.
they had you on the fridge.
It's the super fridge. But do we have any more questions? And actually, I'm gonna answer Snoopy's questions about being their authentic self. And I have actually I have actual question off of that. Um, when I got into streaming, the goal was, and it's kind of like maybe a 50-50 on how people just come into streaming and stuff like this. I wanted to be famous. I wanted to be myself and be famous and, all the good stuff, I wanted to sit at home and stream all day and be with my little girl and, just have fun doing what I love. But through my years of streaming, because I like people don't notice that I've been streaming like 6-7 years off and on, and every time I come back to streaming, I'm learning like what type of streamer I want to become, what kind of content I want to bring out to you people. Like I'm from the hood, but I want you to see the nerdy me, the non-hood me, because that's really who I am. I'm not the hood person. I'm a gamer nerd, just like you or the next person and stuff like that. And with some of the stuff I've been through in life, I wanted to do this little segment called When Legends Talks, where I talk to other streamers. How did they grow up? How did they live? Was it easy for them? Was it not easy for them? So I thank Nobu for coming out and sharing his story, because stuff like that is not easy to share, you know. But I also want to let people know that, just because like that person's your favorite streamer, like if you look up to them, he's like, this person's a good person, like I need you guys to realize that we all come from different backgrounds and different stuff happens to us. A lot of stuff might hit us before we actually, you know, come on camera and fake the show. Because we're not just gonna get here and get on stream. We're gonna show you the good side of us and the happy side. We're not just gonna get out here and show you guys like how crappy of a day we have and like how crappy my life is in the background and stuff like that. We want to come in here and have a good time, and usually like streaming is for a lot of people who I talk to now is an escape from life. You know. Yo.
I always just keep it real with my folks. I don't try to fake the funk with anyone I deal with, be it on stream or not. Um, if I'm having a bad day, I definitely let folks know. Like, if I'm like whenever someone asks me, be it IRL or on stream, like if I'm having a bad day, I'll let people know like I'm not having a good day today.
Mm-hmm.
I have several times, and I think that helps people stay level with you, and I think it helps people understand that you're still a person behind this camera.
Yeah. And you've been there too, Nobu. Like, in my stream, like, I had a bad day today, but we're gonna play some games. It's gonna turn around right now because you guys are here. We're having
Yeah,
fun.
dude. I heard you say that.
Yeah. But the thing I'm critical about, and like, I may not have a lot more time now to do it than I did back when I was like getting unemployment and stuff like that. Like, if something is bothering you and like you need somebody to talk to, like, join my Discord, hit me up on Twitter, hit me up on Instagram. Just hit me up. Like, I'll help you guys through it. Like, I do things I shouldn't be doing. Like giving out my personal number and stuff like that. But like, I'm here for you guys. This is what I'm trying to advocate. I've been through the mental health disorder, all that stuff, depression, everything. I want you guys to understand that I'm here for you, and like, I'll do whatever I can in my power to help you. Or I would seek help from somebody else. I would point you in the right direction. That is what I'm trying to do. And I have a lot of people in my community that you guys can talk to too. I would rather you talk to me first, and then I'll talk to somebody else to help you get back on track, because we all been through things and stuff like that. Whether it's mental abuse, whether it's depression, whether it's sexual abuse, there's a lot of that out there. Not a lot of people are talking about it openly. So like, if you want to come and talk to me in private about your issues and some things that are going on, like right now I'm talking to a friend in private, and they are going through the fucking grapevine right now. They are really going through the grapevine, and all I'm doing is I'm there for them. I talk to them. I make sure, hey, like, if anything, if I have like the money to do it, I would probably go and pick your ass up, and you can come stay with me for a little bit. It may not be too much, you know, but like, I want all my people to be safe out there.
Yeah, some people just need a break from their immediate environment, and even just like giving them that change of pace can bring them a lot of peace in a short amount of time.
Mm-hmm. But
That's respectable, man.
very.
Real.
But like, all I expect from you, if I'm going out my way to do my thing, you got to do your part. That is the most important thing. Don't
That's
become
fair.
don't become the victim, all right? Because when you stop doing your part, you become the victim.
And that's how you lose out and choose out.
Exactly. Welcome in, Fala. Welcome in. I think we're
That's a
on.
hell of a name. Follow your dreams.
Yeah. You're at the end part, man. I think we're about wrapped up. Unless Nobu, you got anything else you wanted to share on anything?
I really liked what you said about being from the hood, and I wanted to touch on this before we go.
All right.
I've noticed, because I've lived in the hood, but I'm not from the hood, as I obviously elaborated on earlier with my origin story.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I found that a lot of kids that were like quote unquote nerdy, um, who grew up in the hood, weren't able to express that part of themselves, because you can get jumped for stuff like that. You can get jumped for expressing those sides of yourself, and I think like well into adolescence, like, is the time where a lot of kids from the hood don't really get to have friends who are in that realm, who are in the realm of gaming or like comics, etc., etc.
Yeah.
I'm
Uh,
glad you're able to reach that part of yourself and really share that part of yourself with your audience. It's got to be really cathartic.
yeah. Which is why I had like I'll call it like it's like a self perceived crisis in high school. That's kind of
Hmm.
what I call it, because like I didn't know who like I knew who I was, but I didn't know who I was. I'm a nerd. I should be hanging out with game users, not with the jocks, because that's not me. I know who I am, but I'm not acting like I know who I am.
Right.
So, like, high school was like the definite thing, and, you know, once I started, other things happened in high school towards the end, but, like, once I started hanging out with my real friends, the people who will be there for me and being myself, I was a lot more happy. I was like a lot more happier during like my ending tour of high school, and then even for the rest of my life, because the people I hang out with, most of them, is the same 9 people I hang out with during high school. I kid you
That's what's
not.
up.
Kid you not. Like 2012, like most of my friends are from 2012. Besides, the new friends I'm meeting over here on Twitch, of course. Nobu, Follow Your Dreams, Super Freak, Rome, um, the Monster in here. Like I met good people on this platform, and you know, I want to like. I was talking to a friend of mine, and I told him like how like when I used to watch Twitch, I was sexist for a while. I'm not gonna lie, because like like watching women on Twitch, and I would never do it. I never cared about it or anything like that. Then I had a conversation with a friend, and it was like, they're not all like that, dude. I was like, but and now I have a couple of friends on Twitch, females, that I just sit there and I love to go watch because they're about their gaming, and they're cool people to actually talk to. So like things like talking to people and getting yourself out there, like we should, being yourself, like opens your eyes to a lot of things. This is why I like to talk to a lot of people too, because like there are some things in this the story that you told me today, Nobu, that I never thought of in my life, never even thought to think of.
Thank you,
So,
man. I'm glad I was able to share some things and put your mind on something else, something
mhm.
new.
And like I said, we are lifelong learners and lifelong teachers. All right,
Indeed.
all right. So that's
We did have another question
oh
from Suki Monster. She asked, "What is a piece of wisdom you have learned that you wish you could impart and would like people to be able to comprehend?" Um,
mm,
I think one thing that's really important to me is, and I was talking about this earlier, is that I think that as opposed to just simply reacting, you have to assess every situation and look into the nuances of why people are doing what they do and operate in accordance. Because sure, someone could look like they just flashed out when the reason why they're flashing out is because they could have been suffering from any type of harassment on their job or at home, and that was just their time to boil over. And I also think that that people should be their authentic selves so they don't have a chance to flash out. And whenever you have a problem, you should address it immediately. That way you don't bottle everything up and you don't end up having to go to jail or go to prison for things that you didn't get to express.
um with that same question, I'm gonna bring up a scenario. All right, and like I don't think a lot of people think about this. This is one I got from my little cousin. He's not that little, like probably 3 years younger than me. But got a guy, 18-year-old adult male, selling candy in front of a grocery store. All right. Um, workers and employer like workers and employers go to the boss. Hey, he's harassing people and doing all this stuff. And my cousin, being the big man, He's looking at that person. He's like, I see a man trying to get his hustle on, trying to get money, get food and stuff for his family. Like, why does he have to be a thug? Like, how is he harassing people? What did he do? I'm looking at the cameras all day. He's just, would you like to buy some candy? You know? Like, you know, of course, he's not going to look professional. But, like, at an age, like, and this is where it comes with, like, a father figure or something, you know, coming up in our lives and stuff like that. Who was taught here to dress professional? Like, how were you taught? Like, do you get taught to dress professionally? You know, because I never knew how much people care about a tie on an interview, as long as you look nice. You know.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't even know how to tie a tie. And it's like, you know, some people get a clip on and stuff like that. But like a tie for an interview, even though like you're going for a McDonald's job and stuff like that, was very important to people for some odd reason.
Yeah, I think that professionalism is completely obsolete,
Hmm.
and really, it's just more so related to classism.
And
Because if you don't have those resources available, then how are you supposed to work to be able to get those resources available? If people won't hire you, because you don't look like XYZ.
exactly. And you know, like why, like with this, it's like why aren't these people trying to give people like this an opportunity? You know, because they could make your story look better. They can give your story like that little bit of that, you know, other places don't have. You know, like that person's gonna show up to work every day because he's like, hey, you know, you want a stable job? I can get you a stable job. Like I said earlier, all you got to do is do your part. And you know, like why are we not looking outside this box? You know,
Hmm.
like people try to feed their families and stuff like that. You know, so my thing is like we need to make this like a certain impact and a certain wisdom on other people's life. Don't automatically assume, which Nobu said already, like, you know, don't automatically assume that this person is doing XYZ. Look at it outside the box and see, like, go over there, have a conversation with the person, see what they're about, you know. Because if they're about their money and taking care of their family, no doubt they're going to be a good worker. No doubt.
Right, because they have extra pressure on them to provide.
Exactly. They just can't, you know, nobody's giving them a chance to provide. So guess what? They got to do stuff like sell candies, like selling roses on the street, you know, stuff like that. All right, do we have any more questions? And just to let everybody know, this will be going on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. I don't know if the bot put it out there, but I will be putting this on YouTube too. So if you miss most of it, you can always catch it on there or in the VOD.
And you can probably catch it on the VOD. If you
Yeah.
want to go back.
Oh, no problem.
And thank you for the opportunity, Shin.
Oh man, anytime, anytime. Um, Anybody in here, if you would like to share your story, let me know. Like, Nobu can also like tell you guys that before we even started this, I made sure to have like a 10 to 20 minute conversation on what's gonna happen here and how I want it to happen. And like, if you don't want to show your face, you don't have to. If you want to be named as John Doe, Jane Doe, anything, we don't have to do all that. You know, like, you know, because we all have different backgrounds and different stories and stuff. And like, if your story matches somewhere close to anything, like, let's talk about it. You know, let's hear it. You know, other people, like, hearing people's stories is could actually make other people's days better. You know, give other people like a aspect of life and a different aspect of life and help people. You know, because you could be going through the same situation as another person. but hearing their side of the story will probably make you feel and make better decisions on the situation you're in right now. Oh, Rome right there. When did you realize that people's opinions of you doesn't matter? Was that your answer, Nobu?
Yep, 3 years old. My grandfather put it in my head that as long as I'm doing something that I enjoy, and as long as I'm living my life and not harming anyone, that's all that matters. Solid philosophy as far as I'm concerned.
Um, for me, I was 18, and then I went into the military. And again, after that, it took me about. I went in on 2007, got out 2011. It took me until about 2015 to not care what other people's opinions of me was, and that's because of the, like, when I went into the Marine Corps, um, I was reprogrammed. So like some of the stuff, and that's mostly what the military does to you. They reprogram you.
I wasn't
Um,
aware that you were a veteran.
oh well, I
Learned
am.
something new.
I used to be. I did the Marine Corps for 4 years, and I couldn't do it no more because. But also thank you. I don't share it a lot because there's a lot of things in there that I did not like. Like I had fun in there, but there was a lot of stuff I didn't like.
Yeah, my father was a veteran. He was a veteran at a very different time, so I
Yeah,
can only imagine what you've been through in just 4 years.
yeah. I
He was
did.
in for 16, so
Yeah, I did do a tour to Afghanistan. I have seen dead bodies. We actually a couple of days ago, I posted on Facebook. Like one of the people that passed away in Afghanistan, who we were with. Rest in peace to them. Um, you know, they were like, I don't like. It's tough. It's tough, like losing your friends and their bodies are right there in front of you. Like there's never a thing in the world that I can describe that's more hurtful than that.
especially when you have to like keep pushing through it
Yeah.
because you're in the midst of combat.
And it's like the thing was like my job, like your job in the military, you are a fucking infantryman first. So no matter what your job is, like I had administration for a job, but the whole time I'm out there, I'm not doing administration. I'm going out on patrol. I'm going through the city. I told Game Geezer this many times. I should have died at least twice out there. There's this one time I fell off a tower, like, cause there's no stairs. It's man-made. Well, a lot of things are man-made, but like,
Makeshift.
it's like quickly made. Like the stairs are hella wompy. There's no railings, so I fell. Off the tower, loaded gun, you know, and there's this big ass rock here, and I'm falling off this 2-story tower, all this gear on, straight down. I'm looking at this rock and I'm just like, I'm about to die because my head's gonna hit this rock and it's gonna be fucking bloody. And like as I'm falling, like I just closed my eyes and I fell about 2 feet short of the rock. So like I some Iraqi dude comes and picks me up. He's like, "You're okay," dusts me off, and I was like, "Fuck," like I thought it was over. And another story is, and this one really gets me. I was like, just because some sloppy ass fucking 6-year-old staff sergeant told me to go sleep in my bunk. Told me and my group of guys to go sleep in our bunks instead of do a patrol today. Saved our lives. Where we were supposed to do a patrol, and exactly where we would have been at during that patrol, time bomb exploded in the city.
Damn.
And I can never forget. Like, it's like they didn't care. They were just trying to hit us. They didn't care about anybody, because it's a little city too. They didn't care about anybody in that city. All the bodies that were being picked up and brought to the things, like we had to walk past that to go patrol now. Like, I'm walking past kids, women, men, body parts blown off, and it's like, that image is still in my head. So, like, for those years, I actually, like, I wasn't myself. I couldn't think straight all the time. My mind would go back, and it's like, like, I didn't talk to nobody. I didn't talk to a psychiatrist. I didn't talk to my wife at the time. I'll just play video games and, just try to tune it out. But with things like that, there's no way to tune it out forever.
Right.
Like, on my...
That's always going to come back to you.
Yeah, on my wrist, because one of the guys, I knew was very close to, admired the guy. And, he lost his life, And I had a little band on my left wrist that told me every day, And the thing is, I beat myself up about it. I was like, if I would have been better, or if I could have been better, this wouldn't have happened to him, So it's stuff like that. Like, the brotherhood is great in the military, but, like, the side effects to all this shit is... It takes its toll, and, like, being able to fit back into the real world, like, you turn into a person who you wasn't when you went in. Like, you look at other people, you judge, and, like, it's just a whole lot. When somebody does my interview, we'll get more into it, but that's just a little bit. That's not even, like, the worst things I went through. They're terrible things, but that's not even the worst thing I went through in the military.
I think someone you would be interested in, and I hope you don't mind this plug, but this is a person who's also been in the military as well and has seen combat.
Go ahead and
Message you afterwards?
yeah, message me.
Okay, cool.
Go.
But yeah, there's someone I got for you.
Okay.
He's
good.
he's a solid dude too. I think you guys would vibe really well, especially with the military background. But my father was a veteran, and the things that he wrote about in his memoirs definitely were nothing that it's probably the reason why I didn't even consider joining the military when I was homeless. But yeah, he's definitely been through the storm. But I think this new, like, modern combat is totally different, because, like, you don't feel as invested on behalf of the cause in these more recent conflicts. It's more so you're just being sent out there. There's not as much propaganda surrounding it to, like, get you hyped. And for a lot of folks who come from, like, disenfranchised communities, the military is an escape from poverty. You said you grew up in the hood, so, like, I would imagine that was probably one of your incentives for joining.
It was, and another thing was, like, I told everybody I would take a year to myself, see if something happens. I was never good in school for certain reasons, dyslexia being most of them. Like, I was like, I'm gonna take a year, spend time to myself, enjoy my life, and it's funny because I told the recruiter to call me in a year. This
Mhm.
man set up a reminder to call me in a year, and I was sitting there working at Taco Bell. They asked me to become a manager, and I told them I'll think about it, and then I got the call within an hour, and I was like, nah, I'm cool. I'm joining the Marine Corps, because my thing is, my mindset at the time was, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to be the best, you know. I'm going to be the hardest. So
Mhm.
I chose the Marine Corps. And rest is history.
Damn, man, that makes me gain a new level of respect for you.
You know, like I said, I don't share it as much. I only share it when need be. But thank you, man. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it lifted a little bit of weight off your shoulders temporarily.
Yeah, it does. It does. But that kind of adds on more to depression too, because like one, like how they say the U.S. rate of marriage is 50%, right?
Right.
If you're in the
I think it's like
military,
55 now.
yeah. If you're in the military, it's already another 55, already like a 60 to 70%. If you're in the military, you're gonna get divorced. So
Yeah.
you put that with the real world stuff, and like you got like what 110% right there of your marriage is going to fail. I'm not saying it is, but that's kind of how it goes.
Yeah, that whole Jody thing is something where prison, jail, and the military sort of intersect. Not only that, but like both of those places, or all three of those places, intersect in the sense that everything is very much regimented.
Mm-hmm. And like in boot camp, we had a couple of people get those Jody's letters, because you got to think about it. We're away from 3 months, so like usually girls 18 or 19, like if you're not going in married happily, like most likely by the time you come out of that 3 months, you're gonna be single, or you're gonna want to be single. That's the thing too. So it's like, mm, what the heck. So
Pressure bust pipes type of thing, yeah.
yeah, but we have any more questions from anybody? We're gonna put you on a timer here, because I gotta go pick up my little girl.
If you gotta go, you gotta go.
Oh no, I'm
Not
gonna
gonna,
go. No, I'm
yeah.
gonna go when this is over. We're gonna have a moment of silence. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Ba da 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 ba da 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 da. All right. All right, guys. I am Shin the Legend, and with me I have.
Nobushi Gazai.
And that would concludes our interview today on Nobu for When Legends Talk. All right. Thank you guys for coming out and showing all the support. If need be, hit me up in Discord if you guys want to talk. If you have anything wrong, anything, and you need somebody to talk to, hit my motherfucking line. I cannot stress this enough, all right? Hit my line, or, fucking hit Nobu's line. Nobu will talk to you too, It's
Yeah,
not
I
just me.
definitely talk to my folks out off stream, especially if they're going through it.
Yeah, so. And, all right, Nobu, you know what we like to say here? You don't know?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
And we're done, son.
I'll have to remember that.